Yeah, so I'll just give you the real quick 201 file of who I am. Those of you who are long in the tooth know what a 201 file is. I grew up in Texas, went to Texas A&M, enlisted in the Army while I was there because I wanted to learn about the Army before I got commissioned. Took that young lady to our first assignment after I got commissioned as an engineer to Alaska. Spent the next 25 years in the Army. I was a Green Beret, retired as a lieutenant colonel. Had this awesome career plan in my military career, my military life. Wanted to do 20 years, retire as a lieutenant colonel, do everything I could, challenge myself every bit of the day. And then when I got out of the Army, I decided I needed a job. And that put me on a path that I refer to as wandering the job desert. I did that for 7 years, screwing around, thinking that that company needed me and I needed that company, and every one of them sucked. At the 90-day mark, I'd get there, and man, I was super excited. And the 90-day mark, anybody ever had that 90-day mark? You know, everybody knows what I mean, right? Whether it was a deployment or something else. You kind of figure out what's going on, and you start to look around at people, and you're like, God, that guy sucks. I don't like him. Why is he doing it that way? And I'd quit. Every one of those jobs. I worked for 5 different great companies. Every one of them, great companies. Worked for 5 different ones. Don't hold any grudge against them. And I quit every one of them because I didn't fit in, and I didn't know what was going on until one day I had a revelation. I was sitting in my home office. I had the best job that I could have had. I worked for a small business owned by a friend of mine, based in my hometown, our hometown of Fort Worth. I was the chief strategy officer. I had carte blanche to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. Nobody knows what strategy is, especially in business, right? Nobody knows it. I'm doing strategy. Should have been really happy. And I hated that job just as much as I hated all the other ones. And that afternoon, sitting in my home office, I said, man, what the hell's wrong with me? All my friends have great jobs. All my friends are making bank and enjoying their life. I'm hating it right now. And that afternoon, as I sat there thinking, what's going on? I said, well, what have I been doing since leaving the Army? Well, number one, my family, my beautiful Texas bride still with me. Number 2 was boys high school rugby. You see, when our youngest son, when we moved back from Germany, he decided he wanted to play rugby as a sport. And we did the Mid-America thing. She'd pick him up from school, drop him off the practice field. I'd swing by the practice field on the way home from work. Well, after about the first week of practice, I started leaving work a little earlier. Started getting out of the truck. Started talking to the coach. Became great friends with the coach. Next thing I know, I'm drinking whiskey with him in his basement, and we're talking about rugby, a sport I had absolutely no clue about. And he says, hey, Otis, I want you to help me coach. Okay. I still have my first practice book where I'm drawing out who players are and things like that. And that afternoon, back in my home office, I sat there thinking about that. I had just finished my 7th year of coaching boys high school rugby, a sport I knew nothing about when I started. That became a passion of mine that I spent 40-plus hours a week coaching, preparing, running things, organizing things, because not only was I the head coach, but I was also the club president. And as I sat there that day, I started thinking, well, why? Why was I doing that? Why was I spending so much time? And I said to myself, well, let's look at this. I see 3 parts, because I'm an Army guy, right? Everything at least has 3. There's always 3. Sometimes there's 5, but never more than 5, right? Rule. So what are the 3 parts of this boys high school rugby? Number 1 is the game of rugby. Awesome game, World Cup going on right now. If you follow rugby, you don't want to know the score, put your fingers in your ears, because New Zealand just crushed Argentina, 44-6, 44-9. Unbelievable. A great performance from what I've been told from my friends. So that was number 1. Number 2 was the boys. Miss Suzanne, anytime one of the boys showed up, Miss Suzanne was baking cookies, making lemonade. We had 35 extra sons that joined our family in and out of our house because it was a club sport. Our house was a clubhouse, default. But number 3, the third part, was what I realized was what was fueling me, and that was being their coach. Teaching, mentoring, guiding, shaping those young men, not just helping them be great rugby players on the pitch, but great rugby players in life. Great humans, great contributors to society. And when I realized that, I decided that's what I needed to do. I was not going to be a professional rugby coach at 51, 52 years old. I needed to do that for others. And I made two commitments to myself when I did that. Number one, get into the Colorado Springs community, because for some reason in my mind I was still treating it like I was going to PCS any day, even though I'd been retired for 7 years. So, changed my mind, changed my mindset there. And then number two was to give back to my veteran tribe. Because I look at my time and my effort, and everything, all of my success in life came from my time in the Army and the men and women I served with. And I wanted to give back to those men and women and make sure that nobody else struggles and goes through the frustrations that I went through when I retired, so that you can understand what your purpose is, who you want to be, and who you want to become. I'm going to give you my closing statement at the beginning right now so that you can start to think about it as I pull through these slides. I want you to live your life with intention in pursuit of your purpose to achieve your success. And I'm going to give you some tools today that will help you do that. Oh, I already did that. Oh, thank you. So, it starts with that phrase right there. You get to choose. Nobody else chooses for you. You get to choose. And I'm going to show you some tools on what that means and how you start to understand that. But your life is the summation of the choices you've made up until this moment, and will be of the choices you make in the future. Here's what we're going to talk about. Great leaders, tenets of great leaders, I like to refer to it as, where are you now? I'm going to teach you a little tool real quick, how to figure that out. How to build a team, 5 steps for building a team with continuous effort to always improve and be successful. And then my favorite, the trust triad. So great leaders, what is leadership? You know, leaders can overcome, great leaders can overcome anything. They can take a crappy team, a piss-poor organization, and fix it and make it a great team and a great organization. A good team cannot overcome bad management. You notice what I just said? I didn't say bad leadership, toxic leadership, because there is no such thing. You are not a leader if you're toxic. You're not a bad leader. You're not a leader. I swiped that from my language. And I challenge you to start thinking that way too, because there's no such thing as a bad leader. It's just not a leader. A good team can overcome a bad manager. Now, a good leader and a good team can become a great organization. A great leader and a good team can become a great organization. And that is what leadership is about. Leadership is right here. Quincy Adams, I love this phrase. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Your job as a leader is to set the vision and then sell the vision. Hart touched on this when he was talking to EOS. Create a vision for who you want to be, who you want, and where you want the organization to be, and then sell that to your team so that they see that. They see themselves in your vision. They aren't just buying what you're selling. They're believing it and they're living it. They want to see themselves. When you set that 5-year vision and you say, this is what we're going to be, I want to see, as a team member, I want to see myself in that same spot. That's what your job is as a leader. That passion, the way you feel, the excitement that you feel about your success and where you're going with the organization, your team needs to feel that. I get guys come up to me all the time. Otis, how do I get that entrepreneurship, excitement, ownership in my team members? I tell them that right there. That's how you do it. Create your vision, sell your vision. That's what you do as a leader, and you show them that. Now, the tenets of getting there start with this. Be decisive. This quote by Teddy Roosevelt is great. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The second best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing is nothing. As a leader, you must be decisive. When you decide to make a decision, you make the decision in that moment with the best information you have. In the moment, you have to make that decision. I'll tell you a quick story. I was an honorary staff officer at U.S. Northcom. I'd been putting together a decision brief for the four-star general. And if you ever briefed a four-star general, you know you got to have font and number of pieces and number of slides, number of bullets on the slides, and the right kind of notebook and all this stuff. And I got all this stuff approved, and I got it all approved all the way up. I'm finally getting this decision brief on this program that I thought was going to kick ass. I was going to solve all the problems with this program. It was badass. And I finally got that opportunity to brief the four-star. Go up to the fourth floor in the U.S. Northcom building, Peterson Air Force Base. Have you ever been there? It's really a beautiful office, too, as it should be for a four-star. Go in there, tell the secretary, blah, 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 get all that. Go in, shake hands with the general, go into his personal conference room. It's myself, my boss, his aide, and the four-star sitting next to me. Open up the slide deck, the notebook, flip it open there. By the way, they're a paper printout into document protectors. And we're not talking about 1975 sort of stuff. We're talking about 2008 when I'm doing this, right? So this is old school for the general, but it made him feel comfortable. And I go through the brief, and he's nodding his head, and he's asking great questions. And I'm like, man, I'm fucking knocking this out of the park. I'm excited. This is going to be an awesome program. I can't wait to run it. We get to the last slide, and as in the format, it says decision. A, do this. B, do this. Box next to each of them. Pin. I pull that one out of the document protector. Set it there. General looks at me and says, good job, Otis. Closes the notebook, hands it to his aide. I was like, dang gummit. That's all I was thinking in my head. Is like, sir, that's the slide to make a decision. But what I didn't know is that he needed more information, and he had time. He did not have to make the decision in that moment. He was not ready to make that decision. He was decisive, even though I didn't recognize it, as a young honorary officer ready to go with this badass program that was going to end terrorism for the United States and all the threats. I just knew this was what it was going to be. And he said, thank you very much, and closed that notebook and handed it to his aide. That was decisive action on his part, even though I didn't realize it. So as a leader, when you make that decision, be decisive. If you are wishy-washy, your team will sense it. I mean, you can tell what an impression it made on me all these years later. It's still very vivid. I can almost feel the leather chair on my butt. That's how vivid that memory is. If you, as a leader, go, all right, guys, I guess we'll try it this way. What kind of confidence do you think they have in their effort to do it? What kind of confidence do you think they have in your ability to make that decision and go forward? Good luck. Good luck. Next one, be a standard bearer. What I mean by that is you, as the leader, set the standard. It's up to you. If 7:30 is work call, then guess what? You ought to be there, leader, at 7:30. Because I have a friend of mine, I help him out mentoring, got a great business down in Florida. He decided he was going to, he's a night owl. He would decide he would start doing stuff at night, so he's working until 11, 12, midnight, 12, midnight, same thing, 1 o'clock in the morning, late, and then he'd sleep late. Well, he's strolling in the office about 10 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's there, chugging away. Then a week later, people started strolling in about the same time. And then he started to notice people leaving early, things not getting done. And I was like, he and I were talking, I was like, hey, man, you remember talking about leadership and setting the example? He's like, yeah. Well, they should be there. They know what work call is. They do. They may know what work call is, but you're not demonstrating it because he's strolling in there 10 o'clock in the morning and maybe stay until 7 or 8 o'clock at night, but guess what? They don't see that. So they started to show up whenever they wanted to, leave whenever they wanted to, until he changed the way he was showing up. And when he started showing up that way, because he was the leader, he was CEO, is CEO, when he started doing that, a very fundamental thing, guess what? Everybody else, after he said something to a couple people, by the way, everybody else started showing up because he set the standard and he demonstrated the standard. The standard as a leader is not for your team, it's for the organization. You are part of the team. If it's if you set a standard as Red Shirt Tuesday and you show up in a sport coat on Red Shirt Tuesday and everybody else is wearing it, how important do you think the team thinks that is? Because you're not demonstrating that's an important thing. It's just another crazy idea by the boss. You set the standard and you enforce the standard. I got another client we're talking today. Talking about setting standards for his organization and reporting and data collection and all these things. And I was like, hey, man, did you tell them what you want? Did you tell them what you needed, what information you needed? Or are you just expecting them to figure it out? He's like, and I guess I better do a better job of explaining it to them. Setting the standard of the information I need to make decisions, which leads us to establishing the culture. The standards of your organization, the way you perform, how you set your organization up, establish the culture. And culture eats strategy for lunch. Peter Drucker said that in his book. I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, just drew a blank. But that is so true. I don't care how good your strategy is. I don't care how good your plan is. If your culture does not support that, you've wasted time, you've wasted money, you've wasted effort. My favorite, I was taught this, I was very fortunate to be taught this as a very young cadet by Sergeant First Class Leininger at Texas A&M. Sergeant First Class Leininger was a hardcore, old school infantryman, Vietnam vet, and he taught me that phrase right there, mission first, people always. I don't have people without a mission, and I cannot perform my mission without the people. If I don't take care of my people, we can't succeed. If I don't have a mission for them to focus on, why do I have people? We're all just a bunch of folks in the room doing whatever we want to. We don't have a mission. So I have to have clarity in my mission, and I have to take care of my people. If I'm burning my people out, another client, working hard, doing proposals, winning a contract, and then trying to figure out how to run this contract, burning people out, it's like, hey, Bob, what are you doing to help them, man? You got people that are saying they're going to quit if they're not going to get time off. You got people that you've identified as key leaders in the younger management that you see growing in your organization over the next 5, 10 years that are ready to quit because you're burning her out. 27, 28-year-old kid working, working 7-10s, 7-12s. Golly, I mean, done that on deployment, right? That ain't no fun. I mean, 7-18s is what we did. But, you know, that's okay. You were deployed. You weren't home taking care of kids, spending time with your family, trying to go to church, trying to do other things in your life. What are you doing to take care of your people? Because if you don't take care of your people, you cannot succeed at the mission. Mission first, people always. So I mentioned 5. I'm going to cover that last one at the end. Trust. Be decisive. Be the standard bearer for your organization. And use that to establish the culture. And then mission first, people always. That's so critical. In business world, it still works. Okay? Mission first, people always. Followed by, and the foundation of it all, trust, and I'll hit that in a minute. Now that we've established, and we're all on the same sheet of music for what leadership is, I want you to understand a skill to help you become a better leader in mindfulness and self-awareness. Now, when I started learning this stuff, I was like, that's all that woo-woo, home stuff, ching, the bowl that you ring around and all that. I ain't doing. I'm a goddamn Green Beret. I don't need any of that stuff, right? But you do. You do. You have to know it because you got to know who you are today before you can make a plan to become who you want to become. Who, what, and where you want to become. Your phone, you step outside, and if your phone doesn't get a GPS signal, guess what? I don't know how to get home. I don't know how to get back to the hotel. You've got to know where you are, just like your phone has to have that signal to know where it is to plot the course to where you want to go. And what I'm going to teach you real quick, I'm going to dump a lot of information on you, and I was about to say shove it down your throat, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to teach you about this, and I'm going to give you a great summary that you can take home and start applying as soon as you walk, not even as soon as you walk out the door, as soon as I'm done. So, what I'm going to talk to you about is 7 levels of energy. So a guy named Bruce Schneider came up with this, 7 levels of energy, to define this dirty, nasty word that I hate to talk about, feelings. And these 7 levels of energy allow us to talk about that thing, that F word, without having to use that F word. And it allows us to quantify it too. So if you're an engineer, math nerd, kind of like to have spreadsheets and stuff like that, guess what? You got numbers now to rate how you feel. So we take these 7 levels of energy and we put them into 2 categories. Positive, anabolic energy, negative, catabolic energy. Any engineers? No thermodynamics? Okay. Scientists? All right, so you understand anabolic, catabolic a little bit. So, anabolic energy, positive energy, excess, expanding. It's like, woo, let's do it again, let's do it again. Miss Suzanne and I were visiting our grandson this morning before I came over here. And I put him up on my knee and I bounced. He starts giggling and he rolls off like he's falling off the horse. And he climbs back up again. He wants to do it again. And my leg is getting tired. And I keep doing it, but he gets up again and gets up again. That's positive energy. You just want to do it again. That was exciting. That was fun. I want more of it. I want to do something else. That's positive energy. Negative energy, on the other hand, catabolic. It's like sucking the oxygen out of the room. It's like wearing a weighted workout vest, a 100-pound weighted workout vest with a 100-pound rucksack on. And oh, by the way, you got an EOD blast suit on. That's what negative energy feels like. It is physically, mentally draining. You know those days when you come home from work, the office, whatever you're doing, and you just go, geez. And you think back to the day and you're like, what the hell did I do today? I'm exhausted. Probably spent a lot of time in negative energy. That's what happened. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run you through, now that you understand positive and negative, I'm going to run you through all 7 levels so you have a basic understanding. Level 1, victim. Woe is me, I suck, I can't do anything right. I keep screwing things up. I won't even give myself another cup of coffee because the last cup of coffee I poured 3 weeks ago, I spilled. If I go pour it again, I'll probably spill that one. I'm not going to submit my resume to another job application because nobody's ever going to hire me. I'm not going to fill out or create another proposal and submit another proposal because nobody's ever going to award us the contract. I'm not going to put together or take the effort to submit a grant because our organization and I suck. That's level 1 energy. It sucks. And it's spiraling, and it can lead to clinical depression. And it feeds on itself. Anybody ever heard the phrase, bad things happen in 3? Why do bad things happen in 3? You just heard it? I'll tell you why bad things happen in 3. Number 1, you decide that first thing was bad. You decided it was bad. And guess what you do after that? If you believe bad things happen in 3, you walk around looking for number 2 and number 3. Where's it at? It's here. It's coming. The other shoe's about to drop. I heard that one too when I was growing up a lot, right? That's a belief. It's not that I believe I suck. I believe I'm going to screw something up again. I believe I can't get this right. That's level 1 energy. Now, level 2, we're shifting the gears a little bit. Still negative, but it's not my fault. I don't suck. You all suck. This keynote would be really good if it wasn't for you all. That's level 2. That guy screwed me over. That guy kept me from getting promoted. That guy took my job. He took the last gallon of milk from the Walmart. That's level 2 energy. The micromanager, the person who doesn't trust his team to perform, and we'll touch on this in the team part, doesn't trust his team to perform, it's level 2 energy because he believes the team will screw it up and make him look bad. That's level 2. Now level 3 is a justifier. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. You're kind of moving out of, so 1 and 2 are very much all me. Me, right? Well, at level 3, we're starting to go, oh, yeah, well, maybe it's not all me. Maybe the sun is shining, and maybe that parking spot wasn't mine to take, and you start to see things differently. At level 4 I call the caregiver. And what's happening at level 4 is you want to help people. You want to give back. You want to serve. You want to do anything you can to help somebody else succeed at what they want to succeed at. We're starting to get into some great, exciting stuff in our upper levels of energy. At level 5, I call it the opportunist. And what's happening at level 5 is everywhere I go, I see opportunity. Oh, that's cool. Oh, check that out over. Hey, let's walk over there and look at that. Wow. Oh, man. I'm driving down this country road. Look at that pickup truck in that guy's yard. It's up on blocks. It's rusted. Is that an F-100? 1955? Man, I should go up there and knock on that door and see if I can buy it. I could fix that thing up and it'd be like, sweet. What a sweet thing. That's level 5 opportunity. I could solve that. I could fix that. I could create that. I'm sorry, I can't create that. That's level 6 getting ahead of myself. I can do that. I can fix it. That's level 5. I see opportunity. I can solve those problems. Level 6 is our visionary. And what's happening at level 6 is our energy levels are so high. Anybody ever, when you're pissed off, you look around at people and you're like, yeah. You know, when you're pissed off at everybody. Whether you know, like, look at that guy. God, that sport coat. Right? That's that negative energy. You're very judgmental of anything and everything. Right? Well, at level 6, that judgment is almost completely gone. There's this little firewall, imaginary firewall in our brain that stops good ideas from flowing forward when we're in a negative state of mind. And at level 6, our energy levels are so high, that firewall is gone, and all these really cool ideas flow out. Not solving problems, but solving for things that don't even exist yet. That's at level 6, this unbelievable visionary, and it's so cool when you think about being at level 6, creating things out of nothing. Now, level 7 is nirvana. And what's happening at level 7 is you are at peace and at one with the universe. There is no competition. There are no problems. There are no solutions. It feels like a warm, glowing light expanding out of your chest. It's like, oh, that's freaking awesome. Right? So real quick, level 1, victim. 2, blamer. 3, justifier. 4, caregiver. 5, opportunist. 6, visionary. 7, nirvana. Here's the crux of this. Here's where you can start to put this to work. You, throughout your day, are up and down the energy level. Because you know what happens? You get to choose. Nothing's going to make you mad. Nothing's going to make you happy unless you decide. That makes me happy. Somebody punches me in the face, I can choose to be mad, sad, or I can turn around and smile at that guy. It's a pretty good punch. Right? I mean, it's all a choice. And throughout our day, how we choose things going on in our life around us, our environment, is how we choose to show up. And the more you understand this, the more self-awareness and mindfulness you have, the more control you have over it. Because it's a choice. You can choose to be pissed off. You can choose to be happy. Viktor Frankl said, there is a moment between stimulus and reaction. And in that moment, we get to choose. We get to choose how we show up. I like to refer to it as shifting our mind from reactionary to proactionary. If I want to be pissed off at Miss Suzanne and humble and grumble and stomp around the house all day long, it's my choice. I suffer the consequences, but it's my choice. Nothing's going to make me mad unless I choose that it makes me mad. One more thing about energy level. Like energy attracts. Who's had negative Ned on his team? What do you feel when negative Ned starts going, this is stupid, we got to do this again? You want to kick his ass, don't you? You're like, you shut up. You know what that is? You're right there with him, negative energy. His negative energy talking about how much this sucks, and then you getting mad at him for how much it sucks, him saying how much it sucks, is negative energy right there with him. There you go. Because once you start to recognize that, you just tell negative Ned, hey, got you, appreciate your input. That's okay, we're doing it anyways, right? Same thing happens. Positive Polly walks in the room, he's like, what? We're mowing the lawn today? Yes! I can't wait to mow the lawn. I love mowing the lawn. It's freaking awesome. You know what? All of a sudden I'm thinking, I guess it's really not that bad to mow the lawn. Kind of nice outside, not too hot, right? Nice breeze, that sort of thing. Like energy attracts. Now, here's how you start to practice this skill set, and it is a skill set. I want you to take your notebook, because we all carry our notebooks around. And in the upper right-hand corner of the page, every time you have a negative reaction, you're going to put a minus. Every time you have a positive reaction, you're going to put a plus. And you track that for a week. Do it throughout the day for 7 days, and you will be amazed at how much more situationally you are aware of what you allow to come into your life and have an effect on your life. That's all it takes. Just that little plus and that little minus. Start to become more aware of it and develop that skill set so that you can start to be more proactive and have proaction instead of reaction in your life, making that choice. And now we're going to build a team because now we understand who we are. How do I build my team? We're going to use these 5 steps that I've modified from Bruce Tuckman's forming, storming, norming, or however he said it. Forming, storming, performing. There we go. I modified it because I didn't think that was quite right. Bruce Tuckman was a smart man, but I wanted to add to it. You see, I've got forming, norming, storming, assessing, and adapting. We're going to hit each one of these really quick. Forming, that's what are we here for? Mission first, people always, right? Why are we here? We got to have a mission. What are we doing? What's your purpose? What's your name? Oh, Jay. Okay, well, I'm Otis. We're at that point of the game. We're pulling the people together. We're understanding whether or not we have the right equipment, the right tools, and we're testing and kind of sniffing each other's butts, to use Harvest's technique, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah, it works, right? But that's what we're figuring out in the norming stage. Then as we get beyond that, we move to the norming stage. There we go. Getting tongue-tied. The norming stage. And in the norming stage, now I know, so he's doing this, you do that, she's over here doing that. Now I think I'm understanding why we're all doing this and why we're all here. I know where my office is, and I know how to open the door. I know the number combination without having to look it up on the piece of paper that I did not write it down and put it on my office, put it in my wallet, right? We identify what's going on, and we start to practice what we're doing to get to this stage. This is where we all want to live, the storming stage, right? Storming, now I know what you're doing. I know how you're going to do it. I know your weaknesses. I know your strengths. I know how you will react when something happens. There's this thing called flow, and there's a great book, Stealing Fire, by Steve Presley, and I can't remember the co-author. Steve Presley? Nah, don't quote me on Steve Presley, but it is Stealing Fire. And he talks about, he's following SEAL Team 6, and talks about how they establish flow, and what it comes from, in my terminology, is we flow into a room when we're doing close combat, right? We're clearing a room from bad guys. When we flow into the room like water, a little bit of Bruce Lee in here also. So we flow into the room like water, and we take over the room. And when we do that in a formation, in a stack, 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many men we have when we go in. And when we have flow, I know what the guy in front of me is going to do before he does it. I know what he's going to do if there's a chair there. I know what he's going to do if there's a child there. I know what he's going to do if a grenade goes off. Before he does it, I know him that well, and he knows me that well. That's flow state. That's where we want to operate as a team. That's powerful because then we've gone from in the forming stage of a bunch of people showing up and kind of talking, networking sort of event, to now we're starting to norm and we're a team and we're starting to figure each other out, to this where we're operating as a cohesive whole organization. That's what storming is. And that's what we all should strive to do every day. This is where the differentiators start to happen. We've reached this level of flow, this level of storming. But it's never perfect because things are always changing, right? Life changes, we change, the environment changes. Nothing ever stays the same, which means that state of flow, we can't stay at that state of flow because the state of flow that it is today won't be the flow tomorrow because the environment has changed. So we have to assess. In the military, what do we call this? AAR, right? We sit down and do an after-action report. We were great at that. A little pet peeve of mine. It was great. Man, I spent a lot of time perfecting my lessons, my observation, discussion, recommendation, and lesson learned, which was a joke. The lesson learned part was a joke. And I'll tell you why. Because I found out the hard way. I went on an operation years ago, landed up with an organization. We just, with no information with this organization that I had available to me. Even though I asked for it, requested it, supposedly it was searched for, and I was never given it. Really all that happened was that it meant my learning curve was very steep on day one. So I had zero information. The learning curve very steep. We were successful, just to put it short, 6-month mission. Everything, we hit all of our gates, hit all of our targets. Very, very successful. Came back, changed jobs. I'm sitting at a desk one afternoon on the classified network, just figuring out, because I think it was about the first time I'd ever been on a classified internet, and I'm searching, and guess what I found? Dossiers and lessons learned from that organization that I just spent 6 months from ground zero scratch. And I started to look around and see it in other ways and other places throughout the military, the training centers and this, that, and the other. And that's where the failure always happens. And this is the step, this final step in the circle, to go from adapting or assessing to adapting is the differentiator from a good organization to a great organization. We take that stuff that we just identified, that in the military we spend all this time putting it in the right font, in the right format, and getting approvals for it to be in there, make sure we didn't hurt anybody's feelings and all that sort of stuff. But if you do that right there, adapt, you're actually learning the lessons, identifying what went well, what are our strengths, how do we sustain those, and what can we fix and do better? Because when we change, anything we change, we're going right back to forming. And when we go right back to forming, we go back to our circle. And you see how we can do this with our organization? You can do it periodically. You can do it after events, depending on how your organization is set. If you're doing proposals for a contract and you've submitted that proposal, then do the assessing. Assess it. Look at it. How can we do that better next time? You get the feedback from the client. How can we do it better next time? And you go right back to this. Do we have all the equipment we need? Do we have the right skill set? I did this with my client today. Matter of fact, same client that I had the call with. Do you have the right skill set, the people that you need? Are you grasping at straws, or do you have a plan? Do you see where the weakness is in your organization? Do you see who the strength is in your organization? And that puts us right back to this flow, building your team. Now, none of this happens, none of this works without this word, trust. Now, I like to refer to this as dispersed team operations. So, we'll start off with that just real quick. Got to have the plan, just like I talked about earlier. Everybody has to understand the plan, know what the plan is, know what my job is in the plan, all right? That's simple. Thresholds. Thresholds are very simple. The best way to describe it is you have a company credit card. You can buy anything up to $99.99. If it costs anything more than that, come get me and seek approval. That's a threshold. Do not spend more than $99.99 without approval. Left and right limit. Now I've said we're going to go this way. Hey, with that credit card, I only want you buying office supplies. That's a left and right limit. I'm setting the standard in here and creating this picture so that that individual that has responsibility for that credit card has freedom of maneuver and freedom of effort. And then if I don't have that fourth one right there, clear communication plan, how is he going to know and get in touch with me to get approval for that thing that we need in the office, that ream of paper that cost $101 instead of $98? And we're sitting there and we can't print out the proposal because he can't get a hold of me for approval. So you got to make sure you have a communication plan. But none of that works without trust. And this is how I define trust. It's a trust triad. Trust triad starts with trust yourself. Back to the decisiveness. Trust and believe that the decisions that you make in the moment that you make that decision are the best decision that you can make with the information you have. Without a doubt. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. And then trust your team. Trust your team to do the job that you hired them to do. Why are you paying them if you don't trust them? If you're down there over-supervising them, if you're reading and editing and won't let them send out emails because you don't believe they know how to communicate, and you're the only one that knows how to communicate with a customer, why the hell did you hire that person? If you're the only one that can write an email to the customer, why are you paying that person? And what do you expect that person, there's a whole other story, a lesson in life and leadership on what do you expect that person to do when it comes to a problem? They're going to sit on their hands and wait for you to tell them what to do. That's what they're going to do, real simply. So trust your team to do their job. And when you have those two in place, this is what happens. The team trusts you. They trust and believe in you. They trust and believe that every decision and action that you take as their leader has the best interest of the organization involved. They know that when you make that decision, you are not making that decision so you can get a better bonus, so that you can get promoted, so that you can do a higher IPO. They know that you are making that decision with the best interests of the organization involved. Trust yourself, trust your team, and then your team trusts you. That's the trust triad. That's the secret to success. So to wrap this up, I think that's the fastest I've ever talked to. I might take a knee. Know who you are. You've got to know who you are today. Start to understand and develop that skill set for who you are today so that you can make a plan for who you're going to be in the future. The better you understand yourself today, the better and more accurate your plan is. Just came back from hunting in the mountains, and I can tell you, I sat there and waited till my GPS got a good lock before I even took a step because I wasn't wasting any energy going up or down that mountainside in the wrong direction trying to get to a field to get my eyes on elk, right? It's the same thing. I want you to think about it in the same way. You don't want to go up one step that mountain or down one, lose one step of elevation on that mountain until you know where you are and know who you are. Take yourself that way. Leaders lead. Forming a team, those 5 steps. Form, norm, storm, / flow. Assess and adapt. And then trust. When you have that trust, your team, and believe in your team, and your team believes in you, you cannot be stopped. You can overcome any obstacle, any problem, any challenge as an organization. And I love this quote. I'm a Stoic guy. Marcus Aurelius said this in Meditations. Perfection of character, to live your last day every day without frenzy or sloth or pretense. Like I said earlier, your life is a summation of the choices you make. And because your life is a summation of the choices you make, I want to challenge you to live your life with intention. Take control of your life. Do not go through the motions of life. Be in charge of your time, your most precious asset. Use your time to achieve what you want to achieve. Live your life with intention. In pursuit of your purpose. Understand and know what your purpose is. Your purpose is something that can never be achieved. It is only fulfilled. It is the coffee cup that always runs over but never spills. There's always more room to fulfill your purpose. It is an enduring feeling. It's fuel. It's the thing that gets you up in the morning. It excites you. It drives you to go through the crap. That's what purpose is. To achieve your success. And your success is only achieved and understood by you defining it. Nobody else defines your success. So I challenge you to live your life, start living this way. Live your life with intention in pursuit of your purpose to achieve your success. And I'll leave you with that. That's my email, my phone number. You want to learn more, you want to talk more, you want to understand what I do with Tribe and Purpose, how I'm fulfilling my purpose. My purpose is to create a legacy of leaders. And the reason that's my purpose is because I believe that great leaders create great organizations. And when we have great organizations in our communities, we'll have better communities. And when we have better communities around the world, we'll have a better world. That's my purpose. That's what gets me up every day. That's what excites me. That's why I love doing what I'm doing. I love helping people understand that and have that moment in their life. So please don't hesitate. If you want a business card, I got those. I got 2 questions I want to ask. I'm going to give away my prized paraphernalia, Tribe and Purpose hats. All right, who can tell me what energy level 4 is? Caregiver. Who said that? Tristan? There you go. Dang, somebody paying attention. All right. How about fill in the blank? Mission first? Oh, that was too easy. Damn. I must have done a good job on that one. I know I did. All right. How about step 4 in the continuous process of building your team? Assess. Who said that? There you go, Erica. Even though she's a Houston Astros fan, I'm going to give her one of my hats. Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Catherine and Danny and Hart, my buddy Hart, for introducing them to me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
We are so glad you're here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.